thanks for tuning in to last week's show. It was about, you know, cleaning out, spring cleaning your pantry and your fridge, and it was fantastic. We had about 23,000 views, which was awesome. But this week's show, I'm going to be cooking you a fantastic stir fry because, hello, you know, I'm in my happy place. I've got my apron on, I'm in the kitchen, and this recipe is from book 2. And it's the chicken cashew stir fry, and it's a fantastic recipe. You're going to love it. I love stir fries. We have one every week, and so I've got lots of little tips I want to share with you as we go along cooking this recipe. But I want to go back to the comments that came in from last week's show. Karen wrote, "Annette, that's the best pantry I've ever seen." Rosemary, wow, what a pantry. Tracy wrote, "Seriously loving your pantry, Annette, and all the great tips of what to stock and what to avoid. I love your Thursday segments. Super helpful and real. Thank you." Well, thank you, Tracy. Now, Janesse, Julietta, a lot of you commented and loved my spice drawer. So see, if you didn't watch last week's show, you really missed out, haven't you? Because, you know, everyone got to see my pantry and my spice drawer and my fridge. But I think there was lots and lots of motivation there to clean out some pantries over the week. Now, Lynn actually wrote, "I'm cleaning my pantry out right now." And Heather said, "Can I come and live in your pantry?" Well, Heather, you certainly can if you want. But I got a really lovely comment from Marie. Now, she wrote, "I've lost 8.1 kilos and now I am off all diabetic medication." Isn't that phenomenal? "And I did this in 2 months. Thanks to Annette's books, and I'm now at my goal weight. I have all the books and can't wait to purchase all of the new books. These books are a lifesaver and I highly recommend them to others who are serious about their health. Thanks, Annette." Well, thank you, Marie, for stepping up and being fabulous, and for all the wonderful comments and support that I get each week. I love it. Thank you so much. But let's talk about who were the lucky winners from last week's show who received 2 journals, 2 my 8-week waist loss journals, and 2 sets, not 1, but 2 sets of my teaspoon and tablespoon measure spoons, which are fabulous. And the lucky winners are Laura Young, Kathleen Francis, who actually is celebrating her 21st wedding anniversary today. So congratulations to you and your hubby, Dale. And Tracy Kuro also was the 3rd winner. Now, I've got something fantastic for you to win this week, and it's not book 2. It's going to be something I haven't done before, so I think you need to stay tuned because I think you're going to want to be a winner chicken dinner. All right, so now the recipe for this week, chicken cashew stir fry. What we do to start before I get cooking, you know, I've set up my soapy water, so I've got that over in the sink to wash my hands. I've got my rubbish bin to put all my rubbish in. And I've got all my ingredients ready, and I think this is really a great thing. If you can mirror this and have all your ingredients out before you ever start cooking, it really is helpful. And that way you're suddenly not getting halfway through and going, "Oh my gosh, I forgot to buy shallots." You know, so it's really helpful. So let's look at the ingredients we need. You start with the 500 grams of the chicken breast, and it's always skinless. We've got some cashews, the garlic, you know, I love it in the jar. You can have fresh if you want. But we also need some carrots, some snow peas, some fresh chilli. That is optional. You don't have to put that in if you don't want to. I will be today because we love it. I've got some red and green capsicum and onion, some shallots or green onions, whatever you want to call them. I've got some low salt chicken stock powder, fish sauce, oyster sauce, low salt soy sauce, some sugar and corn flour, and also 1 1/4 cups of water to help with the sauce. So are you ready to get started? Let's get cooking. All right, so I'm going to start with the veggies first. Now, with the recipe, you need 16 snow peas. And I actually peeled them, a few of them, before we got started because I thought that's a bit boring. But if you ever haven't done snow peas before, the key is here is you just pull that and just take off that little, what would you call that, Bill? A little string? Yeah, that's a good way to call it. So you just peel that off. They're a bit tough. And so I say 16, but you know, you can have a little bit more if you want, doesn't matter. And we're going to cut them in half. So they're all been done. I'm going to get my trusty knife. And to prepare them, what you do is you just cut them in half. And because it's an Asian recipe, I tend to cut on an angle because, you know, let's try and make it a little bit fizzy and Chinesey. Okay, so there's my snow peas done. I actually sometimes, if they don't have snow peas or they're super expensive, sometimes I'll add in sugar snaps if they're available. And they're just the same. You just pull off the edge and you leave them whole. All right, so we want half a cup of carrots sliced. There's my little peeler. And of course, you know, I've got my little trusty utensil measure thing here as well. And see, because I've got the rubbish bag, I tend to grate on, over the bag itself, which makes it super easy.
Annette, while you're peeling, the
Yeah?
lady's asking what can she use instead of capsicum?
Okay, so lady's asking to use what she doesn't like, capsicum.
She's allergic to it.
Okay, well I put in some celery. That's a really good question. I put in celery and maybe zucchini. Yeah, I mean, or just do celery at 1 cup because you're putting in half a cup of each of the capsicum. So you want 1 cup of some sort of vegetable to replace it. And you could just make a call on what you like, you know. Mushrooms are a little different because they sink down, like they dissolve a little bit, you know, melt down a bit when you cook them. So, you know, you don't get a lot of mushrooms for a cup. So I'd be inclined to choose other vegetables than that. All right, so now I'm going to do it. I want to do half a cup of carrots. So you cut it down the middle. Watch your fingers. Now once again I want to make it a little bit Asian, so I'm on the side. Instead of cutting them straight, you just go on that angle. And I need a measure cup. Hold on a minute. Okay, so we want half a cup of chopped carrots. I'm excited, we're trying this new camera and it's supposed to be able to get all different shots and everything. It's like super amazing. So just bear with us today because you know what, we've got to try it sooner or later. And so everything's working fine, I think, except for me not putting my microphone on. Hey, oh well, that's okay. So we want half a cup, that's perfect. So I've got my carrots ready. I might just put that to the side because I will eat that later. We want half a cup of red and green capsicum and you're going to cut them into strips. Majority of all this is going to be cut into strips, like the meat will be cut into strips. And I've chosen to start with the vegetables first because then it's not about having to wash my hands too early and I can just keep going with it. So now you can cut really big strips and keep it like that, but I'm going to cut it in half because I want to keep them so that they're easily bite size and can be picked up with your fork, or if you're very brave and you want to use chopsticks, then that'll work as well. So we want we want half a cup of red. And you know what, if for example you've only got red, oh, what am I cutting green for? Here we go. If you've only got red, then do a cup. It doesn't really matter. Why I've chosen to do it like that is because I want the different colours. You know, that's what stir fries are about. They're about that beautiful vibrancy of colours. All right, so there's half a cup. Once again, I'm going to put that in a little bowl here, I think, because I'm going to eat them later. And now I'm just going to top with the rest of the green capsicum. You'll find that the sweetest capsicum parts is the red in a stir fry, and yellow is even sweeter. But that can be quite expensive to buy. I like the yellow capsicum, but as I said, a little bit expensive sometimes for everybody. Okay, there's my capsicums all ready to go. I'm firing away here. And then I've got my stinky onions to do. Oh, I wish Bill would do this for me. And I want half a cup sliced. So I probably don't need this onion either. I can remember trying to work out ways that I could get out of cutting the onion. But you know what, at the end of the day, if you've got a really sharp knife, that's going to make all the difference, okay? So just remember that. So I'm going to cut it in half, and then I'm going to cut it in strips. All right, let's see if that looks to me pretty close to half a cup. Yep, happy with that. And then we want half a cup of shallots. So just take those end bits off, give it a bit of a clean. Now, if you don't have shallots, you know what, you can really, it's okay to put just, you know, a little bit more onion in instead. But I just like mixing the two up. And we just cut that into pieces. There's nothing wrong with using a lot of the green on your shallots. They're really a great part of the shallot. So don't think you just have to use the white, because I tend to use a lot of it, a lot of the green. Alrighty, so I just want to check here that I've got half a cup. Looking good, fantastic. All right, so let's put this in the sink, and then we're going to start cooking, cutting the chicken up. I'll just wash my little knife. That can go in the sink too. Alrighty, so the chicken, of course, we always use the chicken breast and without the skin, and I'm cutting it into strips, and I tend to cut them down there. Just cut in half and cut your bite size. You don't want big chunks of chicken, just slim, thin, so it's, once again, easy to put on your fork or pick up with your chopsticks. I love stir fries, and one of the things that I love about them is that, you know, they taste different. Every one of them, they taste different. Like you could make, so the variation for this one is you can actually make it without the cashews. So if, you know, you're going, oh, I don't think you like cashews in it, well, you can maybe swap it with almonds if you wanted, or just for a lower fat count, you can cut them out. Now with the almonds, I mean, not the almonds, the cashews, you need a quarter of a cup or 30 grams. And in the recipe I say to get your raw cashews, and then get some foil and put it under the grill and toast them. But be very careful you don't overcook them, because they get brown very quickly. But what I've started doing lately is I've been buying the dry roasted cashews, and they're not salted, so they actually work really well. So there's my chicken. I think I've got everything ready here, have I now? Looking great. All right, so let's just wash our hands, put that in the bin, and let's get cooking. All right. All right, so let's start getting the wok hot. And you know, one of the tips here that I want to give you is with the chicken. Okay, so when we start the recipe, I always do the cashews first if you're going to put them under the grill. So they're already done and they're ready to go. So now with the wok, I use a really good quality one. So you don't even really need to put cooking spray in it, but what the heck, I always put it in anyway. Now you want to get that heat happening. So while I'm waiting for that to heat, I'm going to throw in a teaspoon of garlic. Now I use the jar because it's just super easy, as you know, but if you want, you can use the fresh garlic, just crush it up and put it in and fine, no problem. Alrighty, let's get this hot. So now the tip I want to give you with stir fries is this. What I really think is important is just putting a piece of chicken in, just one at a time or a couple at a time, and get that sizzle going. That's what you want to hear. If you put it all in one go, because this chicken's cold, it's just come out of the fridge, it actually reduces the heat in the wok and makes the chicken kind of get a bit stewed. And the other thing that a lot of people do with stir fries is they put their chicken in like I'm doing now. Hold that thought. and they put the chicken in, and then they leave it there the whole time they're cooking their stir fry. So you don't want to do that. What I need to do is actually get a bowl so I can tip this out into it, and that's what you do at the end. Alrighty, so I've got my spoon. Now I've let that cook for a little bit, so it's time to give it a stir. And the goal here is that that garlic's going to infuse into the chicken and be just delicious. Fantastic. And once the chicken is just cooked, you know, like I actually will take it out of the wok and put it into this bowl to be put back later on in the recipe. And what that means is the chicken is going to stay lovely and juicy and tender and not stewed and overcooked. So how I do that with beef, I do it with pork, prawns, chicken, any of the things, tofu, I'll do tofu in there. Take it all out and add it at the end, and it holds its form and it's fantastic. All right, see that's cooked. This wok is super quick. Now the next thing we do is we chuck in the veggies. Now this is a recipe out of book 2, Simply Too Good to Be number 2. Let's get it all out. It's one of my old favourites from way back, and you know I have stir fries a lot, but you know what? I come back to it a lot. I just love it so much, and I think why I love it is because of the sauce. The sauce is a really great flavour, and sometimes you just don't want to always be having the milky sauces, and so this way you, oh my gosh, I got my chilli. All right, so let's put these in. I'll add the chilli in a minute. The capsicum, so I've got the carrots, the snow peas, the capsicum, the shallots. You know, it's funny because this is actually the only recipe I think that I use fresh chilli in. So I tend to use the chili powder. So can we imagine that's gone in, because we're so past it now. And what you would do is, I would have chopped that much of the chili off because it's way too big. And then I would just really finely chopped it up and diced it and chucked it in. But I think we won't bother about that at this point. Look at the colours of this stir fry is phenomenal. You just hold the shallots back because they take such little time to cook. And so I'm really waiting more for the carrots to get to that, just not too hard, before I add anything else. So that's another really important tip I want to give you for cooking stir fries, is don't overload your stir fry with too many vegetables. My husband Bill, I mean, we know he's amazing, but he used to be terrible at throwing everything that was in the crisper. And I'm eating it and I had no idea what was in it, and it actually spoilt it. And so my key message here is don't overload it with lots and lots and lots of vegetables. I tend to pick about 5 and just stick with that. See, like, so now because this has got these veggies in it, next time you might want to make a recipe up where it's got cauliflower, broccoli and zucchini and things like that. So that way you're getting stir fries, but they're all different, and that's what's really important. Okay, so this is looking fantastic. So I'm going to go throw the shallots in. Give that a bit of a stir. Now let's look at the recipe. It's enough for 4 people. It has a difficulty rating of 1 because, I mean, it's just chop it up, chuck it in and give it a stir. And the fat count with the cashews is 5.9. So it's fantastic. Now, if you want to take the cashews out, you go, oh, I really want a lower fat, it's 2.2. I know, ridiculous, isn't it? That's how low it is when you take the cashews out. Yeah. So we're going to put in a teaspoon, as I said before, of the salt-reduced chicken stock powder. I'm going to get the biggest spoon and bring it down to the 2. The lucky winners from last week are getting these beautiful spoons. Now, when you're using my spoons, just when you're doing liquids, just to hold your finger down there, and, oh gosh, this is a bit slow. We want 2 teaspoons of fish sauce. So keep your finger down on it, and that keeps the liquids level. With, you know, when you're using like corn flour, that you don't need it. All right, so there's the 2 teaspoons. I'm going to put in 2 teaspoons of oyster sauce. Once again, hold that down at the front. I love oyster sauce in recipes. It's from the old days, but I still love it. And we have 2 teaspoons of the low salt soy. Put the finger down, hold it down. 2 teaspoons in we go, maybe a little bit too generous. I might throw these in the washing. Oh my gosh, the flavours are phenomenal. Now what you also do is throw a pinch of pepper, pinch of sugar, and that just smooths the stir fry up a little bit. Now I'm going to add the chicken back in, and I always like putting the juices in because there's not really much fat there. Stir it all together, looking fabulous. We're nearly done. And now what I do is get a tablespoon and do corn flour, a tablespoon of corn flour in with the water. I'm so glad you tuned in today. Thanks for making time for me. I really appreciate it. And there we go. Dinner is done. Yes. So now if you're using creamy sauces, just remember to use the evaporated light and the coconut essence, and that way you'll get a beautiful coconut cream. Instead of it being 40 grams of fat a cup, it's only 4. Now, I always say to people, you know, with Chinese, everyone loves the fried rice, but look, a cup of fried rice has 15 grams of fat. So I say go for either my fried rice that's in book 3, it's a fantastic recipe, or, as I normally do, is I serve this with the good old basmati rice. I love it. Here it is. Let's get rid of all this. And what I do then is I serve up the stir fry. Kind of messy, but I do it beautiful. Look at this. Fabulous. Absolutely delicious. And then I sprinkle, there we go, sprinkle some cashews over each of them. And voila, chicken and cashew stir fry book 2. How awesome is that? Alrighty, so now on next week's show, I'm gonna, you can't miss this one, it's gonna be amazing. I'm gonna be in Sydney and I'll be still doing it down there. And it's about me doing makeovers of your favourite takeaways. So, you know, if you love your pizza, hamburgers, fish and chips, you need to be tuning in next week, honey, because you will be really impressed with how I've done the low-fat makeover on these recipes. Now, the prize for this week. Are you getting excited? Do we have a drum roll, please? What you're going to win, 3 lucky people, if you do this. You're going to like, share, and then in the comments, you're going to put in hashtag simply #2 good. Now, if you do this, most it's a Y. I'm still okay with you do I, but it is actually Y. SYMPLY #2 good. And I will pick 3 lucky winners, and you are going to receive a $30 voucher to spend on my website with free postage, and you can just buy whatever you want. I mean, you might want to buy book 2, but I'm going to leave you to that. So that's the prize for next week. Now, also my cookbooks, if you've noticed they were out of the newsagents for a little bit, well, they're back in on Monday, which is the 11th of September. So you can still go down now next week and buy them. I mean, who knew that weight loss could be so deliciously healthy? It's crazy, isn't it? But remember, if you want some more recipes or tips, go to www.simplytoogood.com.au. Sorry we had a bit of a false start there, but hopefully it's all worked out well. How are you feeling, Billy? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know what? We're trying. We're very trying. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week on making over your favourite takeaways. Love it. Bye now, guys.